Hey, what's up guys? It's Carson here. So my idea for this video, since a lot of the videos on our channel that were pretty popular were, like Marine boot camp videos, like the MEPS videos, a lot of stuff that we did a really long time ago. So the video that I thought that I would do for you guys is a pretty much like a breakdown of what Army Infantry AIT is like. I know there's been a lot of guys that have done videos like that before, but kind of my idea and my concept is really just to give like a really quick run through, because you can find all this information online of like what you'll really be doing, and then I'll kind of add in kind of what my experience was like, and then after that I'm going to give advice to privates and trainees just to get ready and to prepare, because that's a lot of the questions that we've had on a lot of our other videos, is just how to get ready to go. And then advice for young soldiers, just in general, like after you leave AIT and you get to your actual units, kind of my advice for that too. So a little bit of my background. I've talked about that in other videos, but I did AIT and basic training around 5 years ago now. So a lot of things have changed. A lot of things are a little bit different now, I would say, just because of talking to some of the younger privates. But I'm going to give like a run through right now of pretty much how it works from the time that you get down there to graduation. And then after that, I'll kind of talk through, what happens next. So basically, when you get down there, you're gonna leave from your MEP station, and from there you're going to get on an airplane, bus, whatever, and you're going to go to Fort Benning, Georgia. So basically what happens then is you get to the airport, and I mean, after you fly and you get to Atlanta is where you fly into, when you get to the airport, you'll be walking and you're told to go meet somewhere. And that's one of the most interesting things, is at that point in the game, one person from the MEP station is going to be put in charge. That's your first time away from home, actually being in charge of other people. I was the only person that actually had ever flown before when I left, so I was put in charge of the other privates or whatever, recruits or whatever you want to call them. I was put in charge of them to help them actually get to the location, which was actually pretty interesting, flying with a bunch of people that have never flown before. So after that, you're going to get down there and you're going to go straight into in-processing, which is the steps before you actually go into, the steps for reception. And so reception's usually around like 2 weeks. And a lot of people say it's like the worst 2 weeks of your entire military career, which isn't really a lie. It's pretty shitty. So reception, basically you get down there and you do your medical and dental screenings. You're basically just waiting in lines all day long. And that's when you meet like drill sergeants, but they're not really like, they're guys that are rotating out. So here's some like tricks of the trade. So when guys have been down there for a long time, they go on a rotation. From my understanding, I never was stationed down there. I never was a drill sergeant, but from my understanding, when they're rotated out, they go to reception. And to be brutally honest, their hands are really tied there. They can't really smoke you, or like they can make you do like 10 push-ups or anything, but their entire job is to get soldiers to, go from reception to the actual area where you train. So, you're kind of scared of them, and like they will smoke you sometimes, like if you're really getting into trouble. But other than that, they're not really supposed to. But that's when you get your clothing, that's when you get, all your everything issued to you. That's when you sign up for all your personal finances and all that kind of stuff. You get your head shaved. I just shaved my head before I went down there. It makes everything a lot easier. But so the thing with all of that is, one thing that I've noticed a lot just in general, and you can try to fix a lot of this stuff when you get to your unit, but when you're doing all that finance and like all that information, I know you're tired and you've been up for a really long time, but you really want to make sure that that shit's like squared away, because that's going to follow your unit, and if that shit's like messed up, you're gonna have to fix it there, and they're gonna be a lot less helpful than when you're down there. So that's reception. After you leave reception, hopefully it's 2 weeks that you're there, but after that you're gonna go right into like your pickup, which is like the whole shark attack thing where bus pulls up and they yell at you and blah blah blah. That's when you're introduced to your drill sergeants and all that kind of stuff. And from there, that's when your training's gonna start. So that's when you're gonna like learn. So I don't know how, I've talked to a lot of other MOSs because I've had to work with them. AIT for infantry guys. So when you get down there, you're gonna be slotted either to be an 11 Bravo or an 11 Charlie. An 11 Charlie is a mortarman, and 11 Bravo is a rifleman. I was slotted as, it's like more of a line infantry guy. You're going to be line infantry guy if you're either way, but you're going to be a mortarman if you're an 11 Charlie. And the difference is there that you spend time learning how to fire and shoot mortars, which isn't what I do, but I obviously work with them, and I've talked to them before, so they were told when they got down there what they were going to be. So lucky for me, I was an 11 Bravo. So like I said, from the ground up, you're pretty much going to start what they call is like red phase. That's where you're getting like well, anyway, I'll just get into it. So you're going to take a PT test when you're at reception, and if you pass, then you get to go into red phase. If you don't, then you have to stay. But you're going to take another PT test when you get there. It's like one of the first or the second days. You're going to get a bunch of super important briefings, but you're going to do medical and first aid training. You're going to start drill and ceremony. You're going to start marching everywhere. You're going to be constantly getting smoked and stuff like that, but you're going to be doing like chemical defense, rifle marksmanship training, resilience training, and things like that. But yeah, that's when you're going to start doing your foot marches. You have a 2.5 mile and a 5 mile. You're going to have classes on personal finance and things like that. So there's an IED course that you take. They have some nutrition classes, and that's when you're going to start combatives, and they're going to be doing gear inspections and stuff like that. So obviously this isn't going to be an in-depth breakdown because honestly I don't remember a lot of how this stuff was segmented and things like that. It kind of is all one giant experience when you look back at it. But so getting into some of like the advice portions, a lot of this stuff when you're down there, you're in a totally new environment. You're going from being a civilian to being in the military, and you're just trying to figure everything out. Well, one of the best pieces of advice that I have is all of this stuff that they're teaching you there from the ground up is going to be things that you need to know as an infantryman. And you need to pay attention, and you need to get good at what you're learning, and you need to take the classes seriously. Basic training isn't like in some other branches when you just make it through that and then you're done and you never touch this stuff again. I can tell you right now, looking down through this course list, that first aid training, if you're going to become CLS qualified combat lifesaver when you get to your unit, you will 100% need to know that. This is me speaking from a person who's in an NCO position. You're going to need to know the chemical defense because we are preparing, you're going to need to know the chemical defense, the gas mask, the pro mask stuff is going to follow you. The marksmanship training, obviously, if you're an infantryman, even if you're going to, that's what you do as a job. Anti-terrorism training, super important stuff. I would just suggest that you take as much notes as you physically possibly can on all of this stuff. The IED classes those are some of the best classes that I got on IEDs, was actually down there. So that kind of stuff is just like things that you 100% need to be devoting all of your attention to. Either you're in or you're out. And if you want to do this as a job, this is 100% things that you need to know. So getting in after that, that's when you move into your white phase. So the next phase after that, which is the next 4 to 6 weeks, that entire time, pretty much, if I remember correctly, we were pretty much on the rifle range for like 3 weeks straight. And and during that time, you will do another ruck march. It's like another 7.5 miles, and you'll be shooting a lot. And so when I was there, I don't know how it is now. Obviously, the tides are kind of changing, and a lot of guys are getting out. But my drill sergeants each had like 3 or 4 combat deployments under their belt. There wasn't a single drill sergeant there that didn't have a CIB, Combat Infantryman's badge. So they were just pouring information into us, and they were super passionate about the things that they've known, because a lot of guys went straight from, I mean, this is another fact, a lot of my friends left right from AIT and went to a unit that deployed straight to Afghanistan. So this might be some of the last training that you get before you get to your unit and you deploy. There's going to be the confidence course. You're going to do land navigation, and land navigation is another one that is just super, super important for any military school that you want to go to in the infantry. After that, land nav is a huge part of passing military schools. So learn that stuff and get that stuff down. At least for me, you're going to have trouble finding time to practice land nav to go to different schools after you get out of AIT. So that and rifle marksmanship, and your rifle qualification is super, super important. If you're leaving infantry school and you're not shooting expert on the rifle range, like in my unit, I think I could count how many guys don't shoot expert. Like, everybody shoots expert because it's your fucking job. So if you can't shoot, it's because you're not paying attention. After that, you're kind of going into like your final phase, and that's when you do your 12-mile ruck march. There's like a 10-mile at the end of white phase, and then after that, that's when you're getting into like you're learning how to move, like your combat movements, your battle drills. You'll go do your FTX. Which is where you go out into the woods and you practice like actual like battle drills. But again, it's super, super basic stuff. So like if you're not understanding from like the ground up what you're doing there, when you get to your unit, you're going to be completely lost. And if you're a private that's lost at your unit, it's gonna be rough for you no matter what as a private, but it will be even worse if you don't know your job. When we pick up new privates, I can tell you a lot of the things that we do. Number one is to ask them the stuff that they learned straight from basic training, and to make sure that they're spun up on, being able to move, because you're going to get put right into a line unit and you're going to be part of a fire team. And if you don't know how to do this stuff, it means that you weren't paying attention while you're down there. So again, it's not about just making it through this. It's not just about having like the grit to just keep going. It's about literally learning how to do this job. You're literally in a training school to learn how to do a job. Which in a lot of other MOSs, you will go from basic training, you'll finish basic training, and then you'll go to a specialized school to learn your job. Like I said, for the infantry, this is your school the whole way up through. You'll fire machine guns at this part. If I remember correctly, you do like a familiarization fire on like the 249 and the 240 and things like that. But it's very basic. It's very basic shooting, but you'll have like extensive classes on each weapon system, and you'll have different instructors come out to like teach you on each weapon system. And like I said, take notes, because I was put on the 249 when I got to my unit as a private, and then after that I was moved to a weapons squad, and I've been on weapons squad for like for a long time. So like that was, the 249 I was pretty familiar with, but then when I moved to the 240, it was like a weapon that I shot a little bit. But luckily I had those notes to fall back on. But anyway, so yeah, you'll do all your movements, and basically after that, it's pretty much like your graduation. You're pretty much done. I mean, like I said, this is like a super basic overview, because I'm sure a lot of these things have changed now. That just gets me into what I'm going to finish this whole thing out with, which is more of what I care about than anything else. So my advice for privates that are leaving to go to basic training on how to prepare, because people ask this all the time, I would suggest that you run 3 times a week. And I would suggest that you run 3 or more miles 3 times a week. The reason that I suggest that is because if you can run 3 miles and you can be totally fine, you can pass a PT test. You want to do push-ups and sit-ups. I did a lot of weightlifting before I left, and I won't say that it hurt me, but it's not what you do down there. You don't do a lot of weightlifting. It's all a lot of calisthenics, and it's really, no matter what kind of shape you're in, you're going to be tired because you're constantly not getting enough sleep. You're constantly always on your feet walking around. If you live a really sedentary life, you need to get out and walk around. I would suggest walking around with boots on too, because that's what you're going to be doing down there, and putting a pack on and going out and, you know, going up into the mountains or even on like a road and just practicing with like 40 pounds on your back, just going out and walking. Now everybody says that you're going to go to basic training and you're going to get in shape there, which is true. They have it regimented so by the end you'll be able to pass and you'll be in shape. But I can tell you one thing, if you go down there and you're in really poor condition, you're going to have a really, really rough time adjusting. And some people can't adjust. A lot of the injuries that people are sustaining down in basic training right now, from what I've been hearing, are stress fractures. And so that happens because this generation that's coming in now of 18 and 19-year-olds has been so sedentary their entire life. They've been playing a lot of video games. They haven't been out. A lot of them don't play sports. And they're joining the military, and their bodies are so soft from sitting around all these years that literally their bones in their, especially in their shins, are getting microfractures in them. And so they're down there even longer trying to cure the microfractures in their legs, because they've been so sedentary that their bodies actually start to break down when they get into training and they actually have to move with weight on their back, which honestly in my mind is pretty pathetic. And there's not really any excuse. If you're joining the military, and especially if you're joining the infantry in any branch, which is only 2, Marines and the Army, like, get your body right. If you're not serious about it, then don't go, because we don't need any more lazy, worthless soldiers. Another way I would prepare is just like, I would try to get yourself, and now I'm not trying to scare anybody, but go out and get like a body fat measuring thing, and I wouldn't leave any more than like 15 to 18% body fat. If you're over that, you're already going to be hurting yourself when you get down there. Yeah, you'll lose weight, yeah, you'll get into shape, but get your body right before you leave. If you really care about this and you really want this to be your job, 100% go out and start doing these things. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys to go out and go crazy reading manuals and stuff like that, but I will say that almost every single one of the manuals that we use in the military is online. Everybody knows it. It's not OPSEC. You can look up M4 qualifications, you can look up all that kind of stuff, you can look up how to read parts, and yes, you'll be taught all of that stuff down there, but being ahead of the curve never, ever, ever hurts. And plus, it shows that you actually care about your job too. And read up on battle drills also, because once you get out, spend time while you're in basic training. You have free time on Sunday, I think, like in the laundry day. Read battle drills while you're down there, you know. Learn how to maneuver in a fire team, because when you get to your unit, you're going to need to know how to do that stuff. And you do urban combat down there and room clearing and stuff. And a lot of what the drill sergeants will tell you while you're there is they're like, this is how we're going to teach you, but when you get to your unit, you're going to have specific standard operating procedures, SOPs, on how this stuff is done. So it might be different than how we teach you. But you got to learn how to walk until you can learn how to crawl, before you can learn how to walk, before you can learn how to run. And you're literally at the crawling phase down there, and you're leaving at the walking phase, to be honest. If you think that you're high speed when you leave basic training, you're not. You're going to get to your unit, you're going to be at a rude awakening. And that kind of has me going into like the next piece of advice for young soldiers. Well, I'll finish off with what I'm saying is, like, be proud of what you accomplished, but realize that you've accomplished nothing. You've accomplished something in your military career. Yeah, you've taken your first steps and you become an infantryman, and you should be damn proud of that when you earn your blue cord, you earn your cross rifles. But realize that you're going to a unit where everybody has done literally the exact same thing. You're literally at the baseline for the launch of the rest of your life as an infantryman. You're a baby. And so basically my advice is, when you get to your unit, shut up. the number one advice is nobody cares about basic training. Nobody wants to hear you talk about it. Nobody wants to hear your stories about it. Nobody wants to hear about your drill sergeants and how they were special forces and how basically you went through selection because you were in basic training and blah 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 blah. Like we've heard it all, and literally nobody cares at all, and you haven't done anything. So that's my number one advice is don't talk about basic training when you leave, because nobody fucking cares. And after that, my next piece of advice is when you get to your unit, just shut up. Just shut up and be quiet. You're gonna find your place. You're gonna see the pecking order, and you're gonna see that you're at the bottom of it. That's because you're a private. You're gonna clean. You're gonna do details. You're gonna get not hazed, but things are gonna happen to you. That's how it works. You're earning your spot, and down the road, you'll be a specialist someday. You'll be a sergeant. You'll be a squad leader someday. And find those guys in your unit. You're gonna find a bunch of dudes who hate life, that don't want to be there, that don't care, and not a lot, but you'll find some. And then you'll find guys that really dig in deep and care about the job. Link up with those guys and learn as much as you possibly can. Schools and all that stuff, don't worry about that stuff when you first get to your unit. But you got to realize that down the road, if you want to do things that are more high speed, then you want to go to schools like any specialized school. You just need to prove that you know what you're doing. So stay in shape and be the gray man. Stay out of the radar until it's time to prove yourself. I will say, like, a lot of the biggest issues now is basic training's changed a lot. It even changed when I got there. It's getting soft. We're getting shit privates. Sure, people can attest to that too. A lot of the guys we're getting feel like they don't need to do their time. They feel like they've already earned their spot, and you'll get broken down real quick if that happens. And then on top of it, they don't even know what they're doing. Like I said, a lot of guys go through AIT and basic training, and they literally just look at it as something to get through. And it's not. It's supposed to be a learning experience. And I can honestly say that basic training was literally like the easiest part of my life. You wake up every day and you're told what to do. You get free food, you get housing, and you know exactly what you're doing all day long, and all you have to do is listen and do what you're told. It's not that hard. Yeah, so if you guys want to drop any questions down below in the comments section, I'm willing to answer them. Like I said, I made this video because obviously I'm not going to remember exact details about basic training. I'm sure there's some private that's super motivated that just made a video about AIT and everything that happened there. Go ask him questions about the actual parts of basic training. But if you have any questions about getting ready, getting prepared, knowledge that you can study, or anything like that, I do care about younger soldiers coming up, and I do care about them being successful. Yeah, hopefully I helped you guys out with this video. Hopefully I gave you guys some food for thought. But be proud of yourselves if you enlisted. You're doing something that only 1% of the population right now is willing to do. Yeah, dig deep and don't talk about it, be about it. If you want to be an infantryman, then be an infantryman. You'll know what I mean by that soon. And like I said, if you have any questions on getting ready, getting prepared, or knowledge or anything like that, or if you're in your second year and you feel like you want to ask somebody some questions that's been around the block a little bit, I'd be willing to answer those too. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully we'll be making some more videos like this, some more adventure videos, shooting videos. Eric will come on and talk about the Marines a little bit here and there. But more than anything else, we just like to, have a good time. So We won't make a lot of serious videos like this, but I know we made them before and they were really popular, so I thought I'd make another one. So yeah, let me know if you guys need anything. Like, comment, subscribe.